Hey, it's Dave from the Camera Store. This is the Sigma 28-105 2.8 Art Series. Not so long ago, Canon brought out a very impressive lens, a 24-105 constant 2.8 aperture lens. And the whole world went, wow, this is really impressive. I love the engineering of this. It's almost like Sigma's engineers went, here, hold my beer. Well, maybe the Canadian ones did at least. And they said, hey, we're gonna bring something out that's close. So it's a 28-105 2.8 aperture lens. So how does this lens compete with the Canon 24-105 2.8? Well, let's get into it. But first, let's talk about the range of this lens. It's a 28-105 constant 2.8 aperture. And the 24-70 was the 2.8 option for every manufacturer, and it was very good, but quite often it would come up a little bit short. I'd have to carry a second lens around, like a 70-200, but having one lens that's just a little bit more versatile came with a bit of sacrifice. They were always f4 lenses. Isn't the end of the world, but if you have to have that 2.8 aperture, your options were extremely limited. In fact, Canon brought out this recently. This is the 24-105 2.8 aperture lens, but it's only in the RF mount. Sigma brought out a lens that's going to be for the Sony E mount as also for the L mount Alliance. Now, Sigma approached this lens in a different way than what Canon did. It has a few design changes, which we'll talk about here. But if you compare the Canon 24-105 versus the Sigma 28-105, you're going to see there is a sizable difference. I mean, they're about 2 inches longer in the Canon side of things, but it's more the weight that I'm more concerned about. The Canon comes in at 2.9 pounds, where the Sigma is just under a kilogram. I mean, it's still a chunky lens, but it is certainly lighter weight than the Canon is. The Canon is an all-internal zoom. As you zoom from 24-105, the lens itself doesn't change shape at all. Sigma has gone with an extendable zoom design. So 28-105, it certainly does extend outwards a little bit. So the extendable zoom design may or may not be a problem for you if you're floating it on a gimbal. However, when you're storing it, it's certainly smaller than the Canon. Now, in typical fashion, when it comes to Sigma Art Series lenses, the fit and finish is very good on this lens. And I like things that we do have a clickable or declickable aperture ring on here, as well as a lock if I want to put it onto the A mode here on the lens. I can lock it in there. When it comes to the zoom, it's very nice and smooth, and it's about a 90-degree throw to go from 28-105. And when I'm at 28, I can lock it so it doesn't accidentally come undone if I'm carrying it around by hand. We do have an autofocus manual focus switch on the front and a customizable button, as well as a nice big knurled ring on the end here for when I'm doing manual focus. This lens features an 82mm front filter thread and it's fully weather sealed. Now, one big thing between the Canon and the Sigma that I wish they would have included is the option at least to put a tripod collar on it. I mean, these are sizable lenses, and if I'm putting a lot of weight onto my lens mount here, it'd be nice to have the option to mount this onto a tripod collar like the Canon does. So there are some design differences between this lens and the Canon, but also there's some differences on the inside, which we're going to talk about next. Now, aside from great build quality with this lens, when we dive inside of it, there's a few things going on which Sigma's a little extra with, like they went a little bit beyond everybody else. So first off, we have 18 different elements in 13 different groups, including 5 spherical elements. I mean, 5. I can't think of many lenses that have more than 2 or 3. I mean, if you know, let me know down in the comments down below. We also have a 12-bladed aperture. So, I mean, that's 1 or 2 extra everything in this lens, and I've seen in other lenses. Are the Sigma engineers tapping into the Spinal Tap movie and mine goes to 11? Oh, mine goes to 12 aperture blades. The results I'm getting out of this lens, all joking aside, are fantastic. I mean, when we take a look at these sample shots here of the wall, you can see that the center sharpness is incredibly sharp, and it really doesn't fade off when we go to the corners. And the same thing at 28 or at 105, the results I'm getting out of it are really nice, and the bokeh is fantastic. I mean, we're not getting 1.2 levels of bokeh, and that's a different aspect altogether. However, you take a look at these samples here, you can see at 28mm I'm getting really nice bokeh, but it really excels when I extend it out past that 70mm range to 105. Then I really get this nice creamy background blur, and doing head and shoulder portrait with this lens, I'm getting some fantastic results. Now, the image quality is very good, but we have to be able to focus as well. And here's where this lens excels also. It does have their HLA motors. That's a high linear actuating motors in it, which allow you to focus very quickly. Take a look at this example here, and you can see our min to max test here, how quickly you can expect this lens to focus between min and max. It's very impressive. The other thing I like about this lens is that it has a 40cm minimum focusing distance. That allows me to get very, very close to some subject matter, and just adds to the versatility and practicality of this lens. So overall, what do I make of this 28-105 lens? from Sigma? Well, I mean, I've had the chance to use a 24-105 from Canon quite a bit, and I really enjoy this lens, even though it's a little more cinematic oriented. I mean, as a stills photographer, I think the 28-105 from Sigma is going to appeal to you a little bit more. I mean, it carries around, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter to carry around as well. Now, I do wish that Sigma gave us an option for a tripod collar. However, the fit and finish of this lens, and especially the image quality I'm getting out of this, very functional zoom range, is fantastic. I think Sigma's got a very impressive lens on their hand here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to produce with it. Now, I of course want to know what you guys think of this latest offering from Sigma. Is it going to find its way into your kit anytime soon, or are you more preferential with the 24-72.8s? Make sure you leave comments down below. Follow us both on Instagram. Please hit the notification bell, like and subscribe. It's Dave from the Camera Store. We'll catch you again soon. Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching this episode on the very exciting offering from Sigma. If you want to check out more of our recent content, click up here. And if you're Canadian, you want to support local, check out thecamerastore.com down here.